All right, we're back. Tasty Crypto Show. I'm Ryan Grace. With me today, my quant, Glenn.
Thank you, Ryan. Pleasure to be back here on a Monday.
Yes.
Primetime slot. We got the sports equinox coming up tonight.
All right, what does that mean, Glenn? I've seen that in a couple of the betting apps, and
Ryan.
I'm not quite sure what it means.
Today is one of the only days of the calendar year in which professional baseball, football, basketball, and hockey are all competing on the national global stage.
Wow.
We've got the World Series. We've got Monday Night Football. We've got, hockey.
Couple games.
A lot of hockey going on. And a lot of basketball. Basketball full swing. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to tonight if, you enjoy any of that.
Yeah, I'm going to watch the World Series game.
Oh, all right. Nice. You Yankees, Dodgers?
I'm a Yankees fan.
Sorry?
Sorry because they're down 2 games, or sorry because, that's your way of talking shit on Yankees fans, Glenn? What
Both.
is it?
With pleasure. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a Dodgers fan. As it turns out.
You're a Dodgers fan as of, last weekend or what?
No, it was when over the off season, they signed a couple guys. No, I've been to several Dodgers games.
Yeah.
Uncle lives out there.
Okay.
Took me growing up.
I think it goes 7 games.
Oh, okay. You think it follows the home team?
It
Got good
ends.
crowds.
It ends the way it started, except that Aaron Judge redeems himself, bases loaded, walk-off grand slam to end the World Series.
New York.
It's all made up, right? It's rigged. We live in a simulation. That's how it ends.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
What do you think? Dodgers in 4? Clean sweep?
Clean sweep. Just no. Just extinguish it all.
Oh, man, that just wouldn't be good for the advertisers.
It wouldn't.
No.
If anyone has any say in any of this,
it's the money, right?
Then it's not 4 games. That would be, the stark reminder that maybe sports are pure. If it's brutal, because they can juice this thing to 8, 9 games if they wanted.
It's a best of 7 series.
Yeah, it'd be hard to do, but I'm saying if someone could do it, they would do it.
I see. Next year.
Next year.
Yeah, 10 games.
Yeah, why not? Just get
I love it.
Every pitcher out there.
Sports Equinox tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That's exciting. You know what else is exciting, Glenn?
What's exciting?
Well, we got the live chat open. We're streaming here on YouTube.
Yeah.
Let us know what's up, where you're chatting in from, where you're viewing from. I'm just perusing the chat here, Glenn. It looks like it's gotten pretty heated, pretty political at times, spicy even, which
'Tis the season.
I like a little spice.
You do tend to.
In my live stream chats. Let's spice it up. Let us know who you're voting for. And, we'll stick with the election theme. We'll have a discussion in the chat over the different candidates. But yeah, let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know who you're voting for. Let's get it spicy. Glenn, oh man, 691. I was hoping it would be 69,420 Bitcoin flirting with 70K here. We're not even going to talk about Bitcoin on the show other than a little bit of price action today. But what do you make of this?
Good news is good news. Up is good.
What's the news?
No news is good news is good news.
Okay. Sports Equinox, Bitcoin at 70.
Sure.
That's
why not?
what it is.
Yeah. No 70 handle yet, but looking good.
Is this the market pricing in a Dodgers victory? What is this?
You're on fire today. Yeah, I think you've nailed it. So yeah, if you think the Yankees are win, maybe you fade this.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah, 70,000 or
drop
just
off a Judge home run.
Just about. Okay, we've got a voting for Tromala, which might be like a mutation of Trump and Kamala.
Like ends with everyone holding hands.
Maybe.
I like it.
Some sort of thing. They both win. Everybody wins in this America, Glenn.
That's how it started, right?
Yeah, everyone gets a trophy.
Loser was vice president. That didn't work out, too well, but maybe we bring it back.
I love that idea. Would that not be something?
That would change
Can't
things.
we all get along, right? Votes for Harris. We're kind of split. I don't know if Tromala. I think it's 2 votes for Harris right now. So we need some Trump fans or something to kind of even the score. Yeah, let us know who you're voting for in the chat. Glenn, I want to talk about something that we have rarely discussed here on this show. We talk quite a bit about what's happening in terms of DeFi, a bit of Ethereum. We like to kind of talk about the technology at times, and certainly we tell the Bitcoin story pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's in my portfolio. But I want to talk about something else that I have a question for you. You know, whether this is a consideration in your portfolio. But I want to talk about meme coins.
All right.
And this concept of culture on chain. Because I've got to admit, I used to be a hater, Glenn, believe it or not.
Did you?
Yeah. Believe it or not.
Love all, love all, love all. You used to be a hater.
I used to be a hater. I didn't fully understand meme coins. I mean, this is when you probably go back to Dogecoin, ETH, Bitcoin. There weren't really a lot of other things to trade, invest in, Litecoin, maybe at the time. But I remember working with a guy about 6 years ago, 7 years ago now, and he was buying Dogecoin.
All in.
I don't know if he was all in, but he was in.
Okay, he doesn't work here anymore, so I don't know. You could tell me he was, all in and just.
Yeah, he got to retire. He got to retire. Yeah, living the dream now.
That'd be quite the story.
That's our dream.
Yeah.
One day, Bitcoin gets to like 85,000. We can hang this up. We're getting closer.
Yeah, I was about to say
every tick.
I'd have to borrow some shekels from you if it's only 85. I need a $250,000. To really pack it up.
That's your number.
I think that would put me in good standing with all my debts.
It's like, what's your number? Like that FU money. Like how much you need? Glenn's like 25,000. Enough to get me through the winter.
Yeah. Roof over my head. So he was in.
I digress. Yeah. So he was in. He's explaining to me why he's investing in this, and I'm explaining to him why I think he's an idiot. And what do you mean? It doesn't have any intrinsic value. What about the fundamentals? It's based on nothing, right? Meme coins. I've since shifted my view, but I want to talk about this because what's happening on chain, what's happening on Solana specifically, is fascinating.
Okay.
And in some cases, these things are absolutely zero, right? There's nothing to it. It's fun, maybe. It's humorous, I suppose. But in other cases, there's some really interesting ecosystems that are being built up around some of these tokens, right? Something that originates or starts as a meme, it really develops or matures into something much bigger, or it can.
Blossoms.
It blossoms, yeah. That's the word I was looking for.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that here. This is the intersection of internet culture, social dynamics, and blockchain.
That's
right?
a good pitch. Did you come up with that?
Yes, but it was from a couple other things I put together into one sentence, right?
That's all right. I like it.
But that's what we're talking about here. Yeah.
It's
The
empowering.
intersection.
Yeah.
Always at some intersection here with crypto. Intersection of blockchain and AI, Glenn. That's the real future.
All right. But
Meme
now we've
coins.
got.
So on the surface, I go back to Dogecoin and I'm having this argument with this guy. Not really an argument, just telling him why he's an idiot and he's making money, and he's like, why are you telling me I'm an idiot? But, a lot of this centers around the fact that what's the utility? There's no utility. You have to have some utility, right? What's the use case? What is the point ultimately, right? So no utility, no use cases, but really no worries because it's not about utility.
You're missing the point. Is that what he said to you? Did he say,
I think
Ryan, you're right, but you're missing the whole thing?
I think so, because I think if I recall correctly, at the time, he was just trying to explain that it was for fun. And some of his friends were into this.
Relax, dude.
At the time, I think Doge was like 8 cents, and let's see, I'm just going to pull it up on another chart here. It eventually got to a market cap of 80 billion, I believe. We've got Doge at 15 cents. So if you bought enough of it, like anything else, you've made some money. But I was wrong. And I think I understand a bit more about why I was wrong now. But for anybody that's not familiar with what we're talking about when we say meme coins, I've heard of meme stocks. This is not that much different. I tend to think that meme coins have a bit more staying power than a couple of meme stocks. But what's powering this price action and participation in the market is really the same thing.
Right. And what is, why do you have hold a greater weight to the base of meme coins over meme stocks? I mean, those stocks are still companies that exist.
It's a great question. So those companies existed prior to kind of this cultural dynamic or this movement that got behind them that then transformed them into meme stocks, right? They were stocks before they were meme stocks.
Right.
Whereas these are meme coins.
For the purpose of...
Well, before there's something else ultimately.
Okay.
Maybe they stay meme coins. But it wasn't this company that turned into a meme. Instead, it was a meme that turned into something much greater in that sense. When you look at a couple of these, right? Okay. And so what are we really talking about? So we're talking about meme coins. These are tokens. In some cases, they're a cryptocurrency. Doge is a cryptocurrency. It's the native currency of a blockchain network.
Interesting.
But in other cases, they're just tokens that are deployed, and in some cases, very easily, very cheaply, very quickly on a blockchain like Solana. So tokens, I think, is the appropriate term here. Inspired by internet memes, value is derived by community support, generally collective enthusiasm.
And so this is...
And I think that occurs at a real micro level, too.
Yeah. And so when you say tokens and you make that caveat, we're saying that perhaps the supply dynamic very different than something like a Bitcoin or an Ethereum.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, in some cases, an almost unlimited amount of supply when we think about something like Doge.
Yeah.
In many ways similar to, I think, to NFTs, NFT culture, at least some of the movement that we saw if you go back to 2020, 2021. I think similar forces at play here, but maybe with meme coins even more scalable.
Right, because...
Given a larger supply.
Have we seen the same kind of bubble with meme coins as NFTs? Because that was really drastic in that, what is it, like 90% of NFTs that were transacted with in 2021, 2022 are now worthless or not sellable. Is that similar here, or do we see sustained momentum, at least in meme coins popping up and engagement with them?
You've definitely seen similar price action, market cyclicality, right? Yeah. If we go back to the prior cycle, prior bull market, you have Dogecoin at $80 billion in market cap. Shiba Inu up there as well, right? There are a lot of tokens that are out there. There are the headlines of hundreds of thousands of tokens launching in a month or less. And so I think that there's probably a lot that, maybe are going to be short-lived in terms of their lifespan, but there's also those that have some staying power. So even though the price action has been somewhat of a boom-bust cycle, you've had multiple boom-bust cycles. Yeah. So these things can come back versus NFTs. And it's true here, if there's something more to this meme coin, then it just lives for a moment in time. If there is a team behind it, if there is actual utility and use cases and things being built, and we'll talk about some of those tokens that are driving this in a moment, then I think it's real in that sense, in that, the price fluctuation, just because it's going down, doesn't mean that it's dead. Whereas with some of these NFT projects that were frauds, that were rugs, the team is anonymous. They're never coming back to this, right? So it's a little bit of a different dynamic. But,
especially with that community.
But there is still the boom-bust cycle. Right. Yeah, in the same way that exists in the stock market. It exists with companies, right? Not every company that's ever started is ultimately going to be successful. Yeah. Versus there are a handful that every cycle, are able to survive when many others don't, right? A lot of companies file for bankruptcy. But these are initially inspired by internet memes or some sort of cultural movement, social relevance. I would argue that fundamentals take a backseat here, if there are any. But to that point, do there have to be any?
Yeah.
Right?
This is the experiment.
And
This
so
is the proof of concept.
that's the truth, right? And so this is going to take a backseat to virality, to social commentary. Dogecoin is probably the best example of this. What started initially as a joke has, I don't have the market cap up in front of me, but we've got a price of 16 cents. Let me see if I can just get you a quick Doge market cap here. Market cap of Doge, what do you think it is right now?
4 billion?
23.4.
That's mind-boggling.
Right. So there's something real here. It's hard to, you can argue over the price, but to argue over whether it's real or isn't real or is a zero, I mean, that's just kind of seems like a nonsense argument. It's $23 billion market cap right now. It doesn't mean it stays at $23 billion market cap, but it's real.
Yeah.
You know? And you know, what we're really looking at, and this is what's hard to wrap your head around. It's hard to define. But this is culture, internet culture in most cases, financialized.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what's so unique about this, and at the same time so hard to kind of grasp from the traditional sense, in that you can invest in anything. You can invest in a joke. This makes it tangible in some ways. Doesn't mean it's a good investment or that you're going to make money, but the opportunity to participate and to speculate on limitless possibilities is fascinating to me.
It's wild.
Right?
And yeah, if you think about it, going back to the comparison of like to meme stocks, you almost think that this is it's more pure in that meme stocks is kind of, it's a community and they're just kind of got their eyes targets set on something.
Yeah, which is largely to pump a stock price, which is probably not any different here. At the end of the day, people, I would assume, unless there's some degree of financial nihilism, which is possible, but I would assume here that if I buy something at a certain price, I want to sell it for more.
Right.
Right. And so my efforts and everything that go into this are likely to hopefully push the price up.
But yeah, that's the thing, is it's less of, you know, a collective mob just like stirring the pot momentarily, and more of kind of an investing in yourself type deal with like the community you're a part of.
Well, what starts off as a meme is often more than a meme. It blossoms, if you will. So I just want to point out a couple of examples and talk about this in more detail before we just look at performance really quickly and try to answer that question as to whether this should be a part of your portfolio.
All right.
Because I'm curious, after all of this, where you land. Because I think at the beginning of this, if I would have asked you, you probably would have said no, because you're a serious guy, serious investor.
I don't joke often, yeah.
And this might not seem that serious, but I think there's a lot here that's, it's really productive, that's fascinating, that is serious. So let's go all the way back to kind of the first of these meme coins, Doge. Okay, this is a blockchain
The
native.
Godfather.
For sure. Blockchain native cryptocurrency. Started off as a joke, but we get to the point, I think the apex, the pinnacle, I don't know what the correct terminology is here, but you have Elon Musk in some ways kind of pumping this, and then his appearance on SNL, right? So this meme coin comes from the fringe and makes it way all the way to kind of, the front and center of pop culture in some cases.
Yeah.
Right. And then you look at what the Dallas Mavericks have done, where today you can use it, I believe, to purchase, I think they still do this, but to purchase tickets, to buy merchandise, part of the overall experience. Mark Cuban has absolutely embraced this. Do we see a platform like X embrace a cryptocurrency like Doge? Something that, again, started as a joke, but I would argue is quickly developing more and more utility.
No Tesla?
As
no Doge
there's
for
more
Tesla?
adoption. Possible, right?
Okay.
It's entirely possible. There's a few others here that are interesting. Bonk. Are you familiar with Bonk?
I am.
Okay.
Not doing so hot this year.
It is actually, that is one of the ones that's down a little bit. We'll look at in a second here. But revenue-based, that revenue goes into a treasury. That treasury then funds certain projects and certain initiatives. Yeah, it's really interesting. Floki, something that, again, started as a meme, but has on-chain utility given the ecosystem that's been developing around it. And then you also have, I think, it's not a specific token here, But you see in some cases, and I would argue that this is similar to what you see in stock markets, you see these thematic kind of investment themes that turn into memes, right? AI tokens is probably a good example of this. There are some things that are clearly real or have a lot of potential to be more real, I suppose, if that makes any sense. And then there's also things that are just largely memes that are
interesting
tokens that might represent this concept or this theme, but is there anything really there is the question, right?
Really?
So memes can take on, or meme trading, meme tokens, meme coins, in my opinion, take on something much more than just what they started as, which is that meme.
Yeah.
It's again, it's very fascinating. I want to talk a little bit more about a couple of these here. So let's just look at Bonk as an example. So Solana and FTX in the early days, very close together. Obviously, FTX was a big investor in a lot of projects, held a lot of these different tokens, supported the Solana ecosystem to an extent, right? And then we have the FTX collapse, and everybody knows what happens next. And the price of Solana ultimately falls below $10. Bonk emerges, and it was really created in response to the Solana community, the development community's desire for decentralization to kind of, just get away from FTX to an extent. And the distribution was interesting in that it went to all these different participants, projects, NFT holders, you name it, but people that were heavily involved.
Already engaged.
In the Solana ecosystem, right? And after that, it really started to gain some traction, increased in popularity, and to an extent, as we have up here, symbolized resilience and to an extent sparked a renewed interest in Solana. But what's interesting about this is that through the smart contract, right, this is all programmable. There's a transaction fee. Every time there's a transaction that's made with Bonk, portion of this fee is burned and a portion of it goes to the Bonk treasury. Bonk treasury then within the Solana network is used to fund different initiatives, different projects that are being built on the Solana network. So there is something very real to that, right? And that comes about from the Bonk token, started, in some ways as a meme or started in response to what happened with FTX. Another one that I hit on earlier was Floki. So originally developed as a meme, but is starting to see some on-chain utility where you have a gaming element to it. It's used as this currency in-game for digital assets. You have the Floki University. There it is. Floki University platform that you can access premium educational content using the Floki token. So these aren't game changers in terms of the use case, but my point is that there's a lot more to this than just, haha, we all find the same joke funny for a moment in time.
Right.
Let's buy this token. That's real too, in that anything can materialize on-chain as a response to anything else that happens. It's somewhat unpredictable.
And then it's just...
And so you might have an eye for this. You become a better meme coin trader. I don't know. But let's just look at some of the valuations here. So these are the largest meme coins by market cap. Doge, 23 billion, as we mentioned earlier. Shiba Inu, 10 billion. Pepe, 3.7 billion, almost 4. Dog with hat, which I don't know if you saw or not, but the dog with hat community paid whatever the exorbitant fee is to project something on that giant sphere.
Get out of here.
In Las Vegas.
Awesome.
And it was like sphere with hat. And so it was the dog with hat. It's this cute little dog with this little crocheted knit hat or whatever on it.
Somehow missed that.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, that is...
that's real.
That is real, my friend. $2.3 billion valuation. And clearly these things could get absolutely eviscerated, right?
Right.
But Bonk, $1.5 billion valuation. The thing that maybe of what we talked about is more real than others, I suppose. Down 12%, down 116% year to date, 1 year versus Bitcoin. Do you think this has a place in your portfolio?
I mean, Yeah, if you think of yourself as allocating a certain percentage to really risky assets, you have a proof of concept already. You've gone through a cycle, at least one, and I think the biggest problem for me is just how do you pick them?
Yeah.
I think dog in me, if a little behind the scenes mindset, clicked on the dog in me website, and it just asked, "Do you have that dog in you?" That was enough.
That is a great example, though.
Right.
And that encompasses everything that we're talking about here.
Because I wanted
No one's saying that's a smart investment.
Right.
In hindsight, it's gone down. But I don't know if we would argue it was a smart investment had it quadrupled
right.
either.
Same rationale.
Right. But the fact that a token can be created, which is fun to participate in because everybody wants to say, yeah, I got that dog in me. But in order to say you got the dog in you, or I've got that dog in me,
You want to have a stake.
you have to own the token, right? Because
Right.
if you don't own the token, you don't actually got that dog in me,
No, sir.
right? And I think it's fun. At the very least, we should be having some fun here.
I think so.
I'm not an advocate for lighting money on fire. I don't think that you just gamble here, but people do play the lottery as well. And we're not downplaying that on the show every day. Not that we're downplaying this. But that's my point. This can materialize at any time, out of nowhere. Something can happen, and there can be a meme token and a way to participate in that in a community that evolves around it. And it may be
The shelf
very
life,
short-lived, right? It might exist for a day or a week or a month, or in the case of Doge, for years.
Turns out.
And arguably for longer. It's not going away.
Not yet.
And so when you think about this as an investment in your portfolio, if you can just ignore everything else, right? The silly names, and you understand that, yes, this is real, the volatility component is fascinating to me. Because now I have something that I can add to a portfolio that can only go to zero,
Right.
right?
Or-
Sized correctly, can only go to zero. But the upside here is insane,
Bonkers, if you will.
okay? It's probably no different than a penny stock,
Right.
but a business that maybe has to prove itself, generate some cash flows. You rely on the operators of that business, the owners of that business, right? Maybe they pull it off. That's important to pay attention to. Here, you're focused on entirely different fundamental dynamics, but arguably they're a lot stronger.
Yeah, and it's super interesting. Again, if you're tapped into internet culture, this might be the easiest momentum trade. You know, you start hearing murmurs.
Yeah.
Why not just get in?
A good example of this has been some of these political meme coins that have popped up here ahead of election season, where they're funny. One is called Tremp. They're not, it's TREMP.
Sure, why not?
And then the other one I think is like Joe Bogdan or something.
Bowden, yeah.
Right. But they will trade based on just random shit that's happening in the news, right? Or the perception that one person is
Right.
leading over the other. You saw how they traded after the first debate. I think there's something to that. It's very
nothing.
early still, but as a market participant, this is interesting to me. It's fascinating. I own some Doge. I own some Dog with Hat. I own some Bonk. It doesn't mean they're smart investments or that you should, but I want a little bit of that asymmetry in my
Some in the
portfolio.
mix, yeah.
To your point, though, it's hard to understand, okay, which one to pick
Right.
among hundreds of thousands.
Right.
But yeah, I do think there's a place for this.
I agree.
So a little bit of a starter on meme coins. We're going to talk about this more on the show. You can get access to all of these and more in the tastycrypto wallet. So on chain, there's a lot more that you can do directly on chain when you are your own custodian.
Oh, yeah.
You have a self-custody wallet. But this is kind of a precursor to another conversation we're going to have, the GOAT token. Glenn, are you familiar with this at all?
I have never heard of GOAT token.
All right. We are going to
Am I missing
continue.
out?
We're going to continue the conversation. I don't think that you're missing out necessarily.
Because you would let me know.
This is a hell of a story. And
All right.
it opens the door to other possibilities and just a really interesting discussion. But we'll be talking about that and more on the next episode. We will dig into, some more around meme coins as well, but wanted to just kick things off here today with just a basic understanding of what's happening here, how powerful this really is.
Yeah.
And it is such a transformation of culture on chain, which I think when you look at music NFTs and what different artists are doing in that space, that was the beginning of it. And this is just kind of further amplifying this concept of culture on chain, and even some of the products that as some, this stuff launches, some of the different marketing strategies and the products that are built around these things, using the name or the likeness or just playing off of the culture, right? There's a lot of different ways that people can participate in this beyond just, well, I own that token or I'm part of that club.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you've changed.
Yes.
You've turned.
I've come over to I've come into the light. Yeah, you thought it was the dark side. I've seen the light, my friend.
There you go.
All right, that's going to do it for our show. Thank you all for watching. Sorry we ran a little bit over here today, but we'll be back on Wednesday. Until then, I'm Ryan.
I'm Glenn.
Peace.